All right, everybody, we got Algebra 1, Unit 2, Lesson 1 here. So really, we're just going to be doing a lot of what should be some pre-algebra review here, okay? So in terms of looking at what we're doing with that, we want to be able to solve what we call a literal equation, okay? Just the same way as when we solve our equation solving for x here when we actually have numbers involved, okay? So in terms of going through our notes here, these should be some simple scenarios. We're going to do opposite operation to cancel. So here I read 3x equals 9. So that 3 is multiplying with x. So I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. So I would get x equals 3. Well, now let's look at it where here now we have fx equals h. So again, I want to get that x alone. Well, I'm still going to do the same thing. So just because that's an f, I still am doing the same thing. I divide by f. So I get h over f. So x equals h divided by f. Okay, here, when I see x divided by 5, again, that's a divided by 5. To cancel that, I would multiply both sides by 5. When I do that, the 5's cancel, and now I do 30 times 5, which is 150. X equals 150. Next, when I go to number 4, I see x divided by p. Well, again, we multiplied by 5 here. We're going to multiply by p here. So we go times p, cancel. I get x equals m times p. And be okay with just writing m times p. That's fine. Next, I see x plus 9.2 equals 12.2. Well, I'm going to subtract 9.2 from both sides. So now I get x equals 3. Now in this case, these were like terms, so I could just subtract them. Over here I have x plus k equals d. Well, I want the x alone, so I'm going to go minus k. Well, now I have d minus k. I can't actually do d minus k, so I just write d minus k. That's what x is going to equal. So again, these are all considered one-step equations. I'm one step away from the answer. So now when we talked about that with our fraction, we have 4/5 x. So what we can do here is multiply by the reciprocal, okay? So reciprocal means that I take the fraction, I just take the numerator and denominator and I switch the values. So instead of 4/5, I'm multiplied by 5/4. Same thing for the 3, I'm going to multiply by 5/4. So now the 5/4 and the 4/5 cancels on the left. And now here I'm going to do 3 times 5 is 15 divided by 4. And then that would just be my answer, okay? All right, now keep in mind you also can do this as 2 steps. So 4/5 x equals 3. If you feel better by multiplying the 5 to begin with, and then you get 4x equals 15, and then divide by 4, like if you want to do that and get x equals 15 over 4, hey, that is absolutely fine. Go ahead, okay? All right, let's look at 8. So here I have gh over times x equals w. I'm going to show this one with 2 steps. So I'm going to multiply by that h because it's in the denominator, so that cancels. Now I get gx equals wh. Well, w times h is just wh. I can't actually do that. So now I'm going to divide by g. So now I get x equals wh over g. Okay? All right, so those are all one, or in this case it's a 2-step, but we could do it as a 1-step. So now we're just going to review how to do a 2-step equation in a couple of different ways. So here I see x over 4 minus 6 equals 0. So I want to cancel that minus 6, so the opposite operation would be to add 6. So I get x over 4 equals 6. Well, now I needed to cancel out the divide by 4. So to cancel divide by 4, I multiply by 4. So I get x equals 6 times 4 gives me 24. Okay? All right, over here I have x divided by v minus m equals p. So again, I want to solve for x. So I'm going to add m to both sides to cancel. Well, I have x divided by v equals p plus m. Well, I can't actually do p plus m, so I'm just going to write p plus m. Well, now it's divided by v. Well, let's multiply by v. Now I'm going to do v times p. Well, I can't actually do that, so I just write v times p plus m times v. Well, again, I can't actually go through and multiply other than showing that they multiply times each other. So I have x equals vp plus vm. Okay? So again, showing our sign like an pre-algebra review, and then showing it with that literal equation, okay? All right, so then from there, now we see that we have a denominator for the entire right-hand side. So in this case, since it's dividing 7 everywhere, I'm going to start by multiplying by 7. So in this case, I would cancel the 7's and be left with x plus 4. And then I have 7 times negative 8, negative 56. Well, I want to solve for x. So what do? I cancel the plus 4 with minus 4. Negative 56 minus 4, negative 60. Okay. On the right-hand side, again, I'm trying to get x alone. So I see x plus g over h equals c. So I'm going to divide. I see that divided by h. Well, I'm going to multiply by h. So that cancels. So I get x plus g. So now I have h and negative c. Well, h times negative c is negative ch. Well, now that's plus g. So I'm going to go minus g to both sides. Again, this side cancels. Well, I can't actually subtract that, so I just write negative ch minus g. And that's the thing about the literal equations. Be okay with getting something like this. It doesn't always have to be a like term or something we can combine. Okay? All right. So then from there, there's just that additional set of practice for those 2 steps. So we'll show those last 2 steps. And that's what we have for lesson 1 for unit 2. So here I have x minus 5 equals 44. I add 5 on both sides to cancel the minus 5. And then I divide by 7 on both sides to cancel the times 7. I get x equals 7. Let's show an equivalent for a literal equation. So here I want to solve again for x. So I see the minus 27y. Well, I'm going to add 27y. Now I get 9x equals, and now I'm going to have 18 plus 27y. I divide by 9 everywhere. 18 divided by 9 is 2. 27 divided by 9 is 3, and I bring down the y. I get x equals 2 plus 3y. Okay, next, I'm solving for x here. So I see my x, I have 11 plus 3x equals negative 16. I need to cancel that 11. If there's no sign in front, that's implied to be a positive. So I'm minus 11 to both sides. 3x equals negative 16 minus 11, negative 27. Then I divide by 3 on both sides to get negative 9. Okay, on the right-hand side, the literal equation, I want to solve for x. So I see the 22y. Again, there's no sign in front of it, so it's implied to be positive. So I want to cancel it by subtracting. I bring down my 10x. I get negative 3y and negative 22y, so that gives me negative 25y. Divide by 10, divide by 10. You can do a bunch with this here. I see negative 25 over 10. You could change it to a decimal. You could just reduce the fraction. However you want to do that there. Negative 2.5y or, negative 5y over 2. That works as well. Okay? All right, so that's our review of 1 and 2 step equations, both in terms of going through and doing it where we solve for the actual value and doing it in terms of a literal equation. Hope this helps. That's Algebra 2, Unit 2, Lesson 1.